Good afternoon. I'm Jenti Vandertuig from County of Santa Clara. I'm very excited to be here today because I've been following a number of people, and to meet them in person here, they were like my ghost mentors because I read all their articles, and there's only one person I called every 6 months, and that was Commonwealth of Virginia. So first I want to say some good words about those people who I read all the articles about, Jason and Pierre. So Spend Matters just talked about all the stuff that they recommend the government agencies do related to SaaS solutions, as well as all the things you do to transform the business operations utilizing technology. And I'm very proud to say that all your theories have been put in place by Santa Clara County. Thank you. I'm a member of NIGP, and NIGP has an innovation award application process, and as we completed our implementation of our e-procurement solution, our procure-to-pay solution, I applied for the award, but we didn't make it because I don't think anybody understood SaaS solution. They awarded the contract to somebody who did an Access database and implemented a vendor system in Florida. So I actually asked people walking during the break, I happened to see somebody's tag, and I said, oh, Mr. Fischetti is here. Mr. Michael Fischetti? Here? Yeah, so I actually quoted him to say that in April 2016, in the contract management publication, Mr. Fischetti, fellow NCMA executive director, published an article called Benchmarking Silicon Valley, the Cost of Doing Business. He outlines attention focused on government's need to participation by high-tech firms, those who are changing business models and behaviors through new commercial applications and new successful ways of approaching problems. And that's exactly what Santa Clara County did. As Mr. Fischetti said, that we selected a cloud solution for Santa Clara County and did everything that Silicon Valley companies do in those 15 cities in Santa Clara County. As one of the biggest innovations in technology connotes visibility, transparency, agility, flexibility, and on-demand, which all that government organizations do not embody in their day-to-day functions. So I'm very pleased to be here. That's why we flew from Silicon Valley to be here. And Santa Clara County is the 6th largest county in the state of California by population. We have a budget of $6.5 billion, and I've been with the County of Santa Clara since 2001. Prior to that, I was at City of Sunnyvale, and I was selected to be the buyer to implement an e-procurement solution. And it is at that time when Commonwealth of Virginia was beginning to implement the system. So I have been following Commonwealth of Virginia from 2001, and for every few months, I would call Mr. Gleason, who was the chief procurement officer there, asking if I can visit him or benchmark him and do everything that he's doing, because that's my one time in my life I was jealous that somebody was ahead of me because I couldn't do it.
I'll pay you later.
Right? So because when I was at City of Sunnyvale and we had to implement the solution, it was $80 million. Sunnyvale was a very small city. It was a very leading city, but very small. And we could not afford a SaaS or e-procurement solution. But being in Santa Clara County, one of the richest counties in the United States, with a budget of $6.5 billion, and I've been managing close to $2.5 to $3 billion in procurements of goods and services. After 15 years, I was able to implement, and we've done about $120 million in transactions last week. And our requisition cycle time went from 1 to 4 weeks to 95% within the same day. So that's huge for us. So thank you, Spend Matters. Thank you, Mr. Fischetti and Bob Gleason. I think we're family now, right?
You're right, sister.
Yeah, yeah. I'm married Dutch, so I can get anybody on the family. So I'd like to talk a little bit about Santa Clara County. How did we do this? Nothing happens when everything is running well. We are in Silicon Valley, but we had 6 email systems. When our new CEO started in 2009, we couldn't even get an address book together to see who's on the county, who are the county employees. So at the same time, we implemented our ECC ERP system in 2003. We had run a county hospital, a 500-bed hospital, and they implemented McKesson's pathway materials management system. And I was procuring for the hospital, which is 60% of my spend, and we had no interface and nobody was talking to each other. So back in 2013, we had a $55 million overage of our contract spend, and the Board of Supervisors asked me, Jenti, you're always sitting and apologizing. What are you going to do about this? And I said, well, this is not in my hands. It's in the hands of the hospital because they're the money people. So they are having 2 ERP systems, 2 financial systems, don't talk to each other. So it is through collaboration and partnership with our CEO of the hospital, Mr. Paul Lorenz, that we partnered, and also with our finance agency, that we decided to partner together to bring about a collaborative solution. So even though this is a technological change, business transformation happens through relationships. And for us to change our model from being a gatekeeper, because when we implemented our ERP system in 2003, it was implemented by finance. Nobody on procurement implemented the materials management module. So it was more about funding, encumbrance, a 3-way match, 2-way match, and nothing about a client experience, or we were not the gateway to have that acquisition done, more as gatekeepers and a very bureaucratic function. It's not like having the deal made on the golf course. So our customers felt we were doing it to them instead of for them, so they hated procurement. And already we want to do everything right, and they want to get everything done. So we are in this conundrum in Silicon Valley where everything is fast, and the customers started saying that non-compliance is better than compliance, and we don't want to wait for procurement. So it is within this time that we had to come together and start with engaging the vendors to see how can we change Santa Clara County from a manual process, because everybody thought we had our ERP system, everything is automated, but actually it was only the workflow that was automated, and all of our procurement processes, as of 2 years ago, was completely manual. It was all paper-based. We had 100 million sheets of paper when we did our multifunctional device RFP. We had to take our paper usage. It was 100 million sheets of paper that Santa Clara County used, and we're in Silicon Valley. So I'm coming from India, and I think we had to call the Indians for some technological help to see what can we do here, right? So what do I say to the 500 people online or here? What would you do as chief procurement officers or business owners or even the technology people? We talk about the procurement language. Nobody on the client departments care about the procurement language. We talk about compliance. We have to do it right. They care about cycle time. So we have to talk about cycle time. Everybody talks about cost savings. I've been the director of procurement, purchasing agent of Santa Clara County since 2004. When we had during the dot-com era bust, and we had 10 years of budget crisis. So cost savings was the most important aspect of showing procurement's value. And we did really, really well. I had a 308% growth of my department. I've never seen anybody else have that so far that I've spoken to in the last 14 years that I've been the director. And I went from a 32 staff member to 74 in the last 3 years, because we're showing a value in different ways, not cost savings, but doing other functionalities in a better way, and we need people to engage to have that connection with the clients. So our model of compliance, cost savings, cycle time, and client experience can be done only when you have support from leaders from the top. So you have to have executive support, and then also our connection with our IT folks, our clients, stakeholders, and suppliers, and also our finance people, because finance is more regulatory than procurement functions, and we have to have them as partners. So in order to do this, in Santa Clara County, when we implemented our procure-to-pay system, we call it the P2P collaboration made easy. That's our slogan. We had to think of the other 6, 7 C's that we had to do, which is commitment. First, we have to have commitment. Change is very hard. The word change makes everybody cringe. When we were implementing this, people agreed that they didn't want to change. They would like the manual processes better than what our implementation was going to be, because they were so scared. So our commitment to make that change has to go through the most trying times, not when we are riding high. When we were implementing, when we were designing, it was so sexy. Everybody's like, Jenti, there's so much hype in your room. What's going on? We want to be part of it. But after that, when we went technologically live and then we were implementing it, everybody ran away. They're like, wow, we don't want this. We'd like to do it manual. So to have that courage to engage people and have the right marketing people with you and talk their language is very, very important. And having the confidence and then to collaborate, and of course communication is understatement on all of this stuff. And then continuous improvement, everybody's talking about it. So where are we in Santa Clara County? We have implemented the entire suite. We have the supplier information registration module, information systems. We have sourcing, we have contracts, we have our entire P2P for transactional procurement. We have cash management for early payment discounts, and we have spend visibility for our forecasting and for sourcing and data mining. And then the last one is our supply performance management module. So we talk about two things. Another person who I used to blog and read a lot about, who write very good articles like Spend Matters, is Bertrand Melterburn from in Austria. I was on medical leave and I started blogging. I was in bed and I started reading all these articles. And he talks about the procurement's value engine, about effective, being sustainable, as well as efficient. And there's a big difference between digitizing something and digital transformation. Digitizing is taking your existing system and then manually moving it from manual to automation. But doing the digital transformation is taking every functionality of the procurement process and mapping it out. And I'm very, very proud to say, not to negate Shane, we did not have an implementer. We implemented ourselves. Where I learned my biggest lesson is I wish I had a PMO, because we struggled in project management. But when it came to implementing a solution in the cloud and all of these suites manually, we designed it ourselves. We were 14 of us in procurement. We had an existing function going on, operations going on, but we spent time in every single module designing and redesigning. And the day we implemented the sourcing module, we redesigned it, reconfigured it right away. So the beauty of SaaS is we don't have IT people run it. We're having procurement people do the entire operations with IT by our side. And we also implemented DocuSign for electronic signatures. And as of yesterday, we had a 1,076% improvement in our digital signatures from last year. And it went from 5 weeks for signing contracts to less than 5 hours. So that's amazing. But another thing that Jenny spoke about Pennsylvania, when we had BidSync, our not supposed to say vendors, but they've been around since 2005. We had 10,000 vendors registered to do business with us. We notified all of them, and when our customers and our procurement staff were very upset that we were moving to Ariba, and they did not want to leave BidSync, when we sent notices to everybody out of 10,500 vendors who are registered to do business with us, and we're thinking everybody's getting their bids, we got 5,000 return envelopes because they're wrong addresses, and 3,000 did not have email addresses, so it was going somewhere in the cloud. And it was, and we were having this false sense of hope that everything was fine. So that's something we have to say is change is hard, but instead of using the word change, recently the Microsoft CEO wrote his book called Hit Refresh. So I think we need to use the word refresh management, because everything else is the same. What you change is what you're refreshing. So you engage people in more positive thoughts on how to be tenacious and persevere and do all of the things that the great people who write articles, and we have to be the tough ones to actually implement. So I'm very proud to be here and put Santa Clara County on the map, because we were 15 years behind Virginia, and we are together today. Thank you.